online and things like that. So at the moment, you know, when you're submitting an application to Sept.14, technically, yeah, you could still use that older customer portal at mygovernmentonline.org. However, for Indian River County, they were one of the very first jurisdictions in this state, not the first, but one of the very first for sure, to roll out with our new customer portal, which is what we're showing on the screen and what you have to use for Indian River County, of course, which is MGOconnect.org. It's a completely different website, and even though it's the same company and things like that, entirely different website. Now, however, I would encourage you to, even for your Sept.14 permits, to begin using this website, okay? In fact, we want you to, because the mygovernmentonline.org website, that at some point is going to go away, right? It's dated. It doesn't offer nearly the amount of advanced offerings and technologies that the new customer portal does. So because of that, you know, just as we're continuing to innovate and advance, the new customer portal now is basically being phased in with all of our existing jurisdictions, and the same will be the case with Sept.14. All you need to do is up there at the top, Erica's already there, which is awesome, is simply click Change Jurisdiction, and then you can toggle, of course, still in Florida, and then you can toggle to Sept.14, and then click Continue, and now you're in Sept.14, and you're ready to apply for a permit there. And I can tell you that Sept.14, in the very, very near future, they will begin offering far more permit types online than the current air conditioning replacement permit. You know, so your new constructions, all of your different trades, all of that will eventually be there. They just didn't want to roll that out fully in their jurisdiction because they literally are going to try to mimic as much as possible what Indian River County has implemented, okay? So they're going to kind of compose their application types to be very closely correlated with Indian River County so that now you're seeing, you know, pretty much the same details and you know, and having a little bit more cohesiveness there. Other jurisdictions, of course, will be coming online. Indian River Shores is definitely one. I don't know all of them, but you know, the more and more are available and accessible there. So definitely use MGOconnect.org. If you have historically used My Government Online, you know, just go ahead and start giving this one a try. The login is the same. You don't have to create a new account or anything. You would just go up to the top and then choose login, put in your same email address and password that you've been using for the other customer portal. All of your permits are going to be under your projects list. So, you know, it basically just transitions over very clean in that regard there. So no worries about, you know, oh, do I need to create a new account or anything? No, definitely not. It's all using the same database. It's just a completely new and intuitive front end with a lot of new options and things that we wanted to implement as we grow together. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead now, and the first thing that I'll show, actually, before we get into the software very deeply, is a very good question came up, which was, hey, you know, I used to be able to see the inspector schedule, you know, and I could see all the inspectors, and I could see where I'm at on, you know, if I had an inspection scheduled for that day, and where I was in the position so that I could kind of plan on when I needed to be available at the site and things like that. That's the first thing we're going to go ahead and show you because it's real easy, simple thing to show you. So on the left navigation menu, we've added this, it's actually a new and improved version of the inspector schedules, very much like the one you previously were viewing before, but we've enhanced the MGO one to come up to the same level as the one that you were accessing before. So whenever you're ready for the day to pull up the inspector schedules and view that, go there, click on Inspector Schedules, and then you'll go ahead and just click View PDF. So real easy, right? Super simple. And then it's going to then generate that PDF document. You'll notice that it's in the same, very similar structure, you know, of the previous report. Now, I'm not someone that has requested any inspections, but for those well, there's one. I actually did probably submit that through my portal. But if you have an inspection on the list that you have scheduled yourself, it's kind of hard to see here, but it puts those in bold text, okay? The others are in regular text, and those that you personally scheduled through your own customer portal account will be in bold. And if that inspection has been performed, well, no, it just says completed. It doesn't show me the results, so no, I didn't request that. Okay, there's one. See, it's bold there. That one. So that one, when it actually is completed, work order not complete will change to show me the true result because I requested it, right? Approved or red tag, things like that. So again, it literally is providing you that same experience that you had before. This is all in the same order and sequence that the inspectors have their list sorted in. So you certainly now are have back in your hands that same tool, okay? And I just wanted to go ahead and show that to you guys very quickly.
So Ken, let me just clarify a couple things. So we're still under the same policy that we basically had before. If you're gonna go in at 7 in the morning and run this report, it'll probably change after that. What you really wanna do is, that's really the time that we're making up the schedules. And then at a later point, we send out to all the inspectors that it's ready for them to go in there and start messing with it. So then they might tweak it to a better schedule for them because we have some AMs, PMs, and so forth. So if you run this at any point in time, say like at 8, and you print it out, there could be a change later because of a canceled inspection, because maybe someone from the office has added another inspection to the inspector. So it's sort of, at the point in time that you print it out, that's accurate at that point in time. But there could be some changes. We've had, you know, inspector be sick and then had to go home. We had to give all his inspections to other inspectors. So I would run it maybe at a different time too, but definitely after 7:30, but around 8 is when it's going to be more accurate.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. You and I talked about the inspector schedule last time I was here.
Yes.
And I also called your website help
Yes, ma'am.
desk and talked to a very nice gentleman. Unfortunately, I didn't write down what he told me. I'm sorry. It's not exactly what we had before, because before we saw only inspections that we were involved in. So it was a much shorter list. It was not 23 pages long.
Okay.
Who wants to print that? Nobody.
Oh.
So even scrolling through 22, 23 pages to find, it's not super bold. You know, when you're scrolling up and down, it is easy to miss when you're looking for yours. You're getting, you know, I'm not just getting electrical inspections on permits that I'm listed on. I'm getting utilities and road and bridge and, you know, whatever, everything in the county that's showing up. So it's a daunting list, as you can see,
Certainly, yeah.
to try to navigate. So he told me there was a little trick, control something, and then it would bring up a little search bar that I could put my address of mine, and then it would refine the list and take me to that section. Do you know that?
Yeah,
little
of course,
trick?
yeah. So
Share that with all of us.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. That's a great question. Absolutely, yes, I can. So what you're basically doing is a search function to search the PDF by certain keywords. In this case, addresses. So if we were to press on your keyboard, now of course you have to be on a computer to do this, but if you press Control F on your keyboard, it will bring up a search banner where you can now input the address and then select the down arrow in this case So for example, if we put in one of those addresses that we could see there, you'll see that it starts to highlight it, and then when you click the down arrow, it'll take you to that particular one, and if there was more than one, it would take you to the next as well automatically. So yeah, that was a very good recommendation to search the PDF. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that though, because you know, it's probably my fault. I'm not fully understanding that. So we probably could refine this even further, right? So, which we will, once we understand exactly what was there before. Certainly we're not trying to copy the other vendor's software. You know, we got to be careful about that. You know, we don't want to copyright them or anything like that. But we're going to try to get this back to as much as what you had before. And that could just be a misunderstanding on my part. So I'll get with Scott on that and try to kind of get closer to what that exactly was, okay?
Well, I mean, it's kind of crazy in the mornings, and we're trying to figure out, we have to wait until 8-ish, you know, to get those, we have to make our foreman available to meet the inspector on. So it is something that is used by a lot of the contractors, this,
most certainly,
this function. So to make it a little bit less daunting, we would really appreciate it.
Sounds good,
But
yeah.
I can't be the only one.
Yeah,
Thanks
yeah.
so much.
No, I'm sure you're not. And certainly, again, like I said, it could be a misunderstanding on my part, not fully grasping that concept. But, you know, we'll talk through it a little bit more, and hopefully I can get the details of what that previous report was providing or system was providing, and then we can then update this again. You know, so it's not like this is not like a living implementation. You know, we'll be working with you guys. You know, we're just in week 10, you know, so we'll be refining this as we need to, you know, so in another month it may be exactly what you need. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Instead of bolding, couldn't you just change the color of?
We can do that. Absolutely, we'll do that. Yep. That makes it a lot easier. Yeah. So we could change the color of those items. Absolutely. Good recommendation. We sure will do that. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. So again, you know, this is just all the fact that, you know, we're working together to just continue to refine things. And as we continue to get that feedback, that's the whole purpose of today, is to get more of that feedback like that. And it's just going to make us even better. So, you know, another month into this, and, you know, and things are even more refined, and you're more efficient. Okay. So that, I wanted to go ahead and show that very quickly because it's something that is a big impact. We worked hard on it, but I know it also helps you guys a lot as well. And thanks for the recommendation. Definitely use that search for now, though. Control F, which is a finder, right? Control F, find. And then you can then find that address you're looking for, or by permit number, if I'm not mistaken as well. Okay, great. All right. So let's go ahead and get into some of the bigger details that we wanted to go ahead and cover today, so that we make sure that we cover the big enhancements that we definitely want to touch on, and then we'll come back and hit a lot of the other little basics. But I see a lot of familiar faces, and you guys, you know, you're kind of accustomed to the system at this point, so we don't want to spend a lot of time on a lot of basic things, but we definitely will do some of the basics. The first thing I wanted to go ahead and, or the next thing rather, I wanted to touch on is in regards to payments. When you receive your invoice, and the invoice itself tells you where to go to complete the payment online. It's got those instructions, but I'm sure you know once you've done it a couple of times, you don't need that anymore. You just know exactly where to go to complete the payment. But let me just show you that. So the instructions in the invoice that gets emailed to you tells you to go to the projects list, because it's assuming you're the same person that submitted the application. Because if you submitted the application, as you should know, the project automatically then goes to this projects list. You don't have to add it there, okay? Now, if you didn't apply for it and now, you know, you're asking your brother-in-law to go pay the bill for you, now he has to now actually go and add that project to his projects list. But let's talk about this from the perspective of it being you were the person that submitted the application. and it's going to automatically be in the projects list. So what you would do is you would go to the projects list, then it tells you to scroll down. There's one down there with, it's under review. Might be on page 2 there. And it does have fees due, unless it's gotten paid since the last time I looked at it. There we go, all right. So then it tells you to go here to your project, find your project in your projects list, and then click open. And then it tells you under I want to at the bottom down there to click on pay fees and print receipts. If you do it this way, and then it tells you at the bottom, go to the new payment section at the bottom. So if you scroll down a bit, and now you can now select the fees that you want to pay, and then you would click pay online, and that will then take you to the payment processor page where you can then complete that payment online. So I wanted to show you that because if you go that direction of things there, it takes you straight to the page and location where the payment can be processed. Now, alternatively, you can also navigate a different way, but it ends up requiring you to make one extra click, if you will, to make that payment. So if we go to back up to the top to the projects list, and then go to that permit again. Okay, so we're going to go to page 2. We're going to go to that permit again, and it's at the top, up there at the top, pending under review, and click open. Alternatively, you can click on the fees link here, which is taking you to that same page, but it's not taking you directly to the payments section where you would perform the payment. You got to make that extra click right there, and now you're in that same location there, okay? So I just wanted to show that. That's just an alternative way you can get to that same page there. But if you use that little I want to link, it'll just kind of jump you straight to this payments tab. We did have a customer that kind of was like, oh, I'm trying to do that, and I didn't find, where I can do, complete the payment. And this is exactly where you would want to go to make that happen. So again, not something that's, going to be overwhelming for you, but we felt it was a good idea to go ahead and touch on that so that you guys are clear on that.
You can also pay by ACH, so even though it says credit card, when you select pay online, you do have different options for payment.
Very good. Yep, absolutely. So because of the payment processor that Indian River County is subscribed to, which is they're a good processor, nothing wrong with that, but their offering of the integration with our software doesn't allow you to make that selection in our software. So all you got to do is just click Pay Online, and then when you click Pay Online, it routes you to their page, right, where you input your credit card number, name on the card, and all that, because it's now on a secure payment gateway is what it's called, right? It's behind a secure firewall where you're entering all these credit card numbers and things like that. But on that screen, you can change from credit card to the e-check option. There's an e-check option. And if you change it to e-check, it changes those fields so that you input then your bank routing number and your bank account number rather than a credit card to enter. So you do have that other option there. And I do believe if you pay with the e-check option, the fees are considerably reduced, So if you're making, like, for example, some of the permits can be, $11,000, $12,000. I've seen some, especially with impact fees and things like that. The e-check option is a good option to consider because now you're capping that expense of that transaction fee dramatically from what it would be to use a credit card to process it. Okay, great. So now let's go ahead and talk about, we're going to look at that same permit again. And I just want to go ahead and talk through a little bit about the workflow options. So let's click open, and then now to see the workflow of any given permit, so we can see that this one's under review, We can go to the task list, and then if you click on requirements, I want to talk about the stages a little bit, okay, and how you can view your stages a little differently and some of the unique elements of that. Because as we phase out a lot of these migrated permits that don't have this cool little stages, you can view what's coming up, what needs to happen next, things like that. See, those permits are going to get phased out, right? They're migrated over. It's just a part of these big software implementations. It's a massive transition. And a lot of times the data cannot be read in a way that warrants the use of this cool tool when it's coming from another system that didn't offer that, right? So because of that, we have to kind of, for lack of a better term, I guess suffer, through that so that once those permits are phased out, we no longer are lacking this cool little tool. So let's show you why this tool is so cool and why it is immensely helpful. So whenever you view the requirements or the workflow of the permit, you're going to see two options that you can view your stages in. And the one that's selected by default is just the current stage. Literally, it's condensing it down to showing you this is where you're at in this workflow at this moment and what remains to be completed in this stage. And you must complete all items in this stage before you're going to move on to the next stage, okay? That's how this is working. So with this stage, stage 2 is typically the one where if there is a plan review going on, it's usually going to be in that stage 2 there. And we can see that at this time, county engineering review has likely sent you comments because they're showing that they have info needed. The building division is still needing to review it, so it's in the to-do status. Utilities department review, they need to review it still, so it's in the to-do status, right? So you kind of know what departments are still waiting on that, and if any of them have completed it, such as planning has completed it, and they've also loaded what's called the impact fees on the permit. But let's just say you said, okay, that's cool, Ken. But I want to see what, once I clear this stage, what's going to be next, right? And what can I expect all the way through the completion of this permit? Well, you can toggle to the option that's called expand all requirements. And I wanted to talk about this because stage 0 sometimes isn't very clear, but it's what we call the anytime stage. And we primarily are using this anytime stage for housing the majority of inspections that may or may not be appropriate for that particular project. But it's definitely going to be condensed down to, just inspections that, would only be appropriate for sure, okay? So that's what stage 0 is showing. And of course, obviously, those items in that particular stage won't even be something that you're doing until the permit gets issued anyway, right? But it is at least showing you that, hey, you can expect that you're going to have to do a wall dry-in and, and these other inspections. But then you see stage 1, which is truly where the workflow starts at. Stage 1, which we've cleared that stage, which was basically the application fee being paid in this case. Then we went on to stage 2, which is plan review. And then let's talk about the rest of these stages. So we can expect that once all of the departments complete the review and approve it, it's going to go to stage 3. And what that is saying is it's asking a question, are all comments addressed? In most cases, they always will be, because it's just the nature of the beast that you won't move on until you've addressed all the different departments' comments. But they just have it just as a catch-all final check, if you will, just a courtesy check that they do for the other departments to make sure everybody is good to go. And then they'll complete that. And then finally, a staff member will load any final fees that need to be paid, because you only paid the app fee up front. Now they're loading all those final fees. And then once they load those, the system is automatically going to then send an invoice. That's why it says auto next to it. So when it advances to stage 5, the system is going to go ahead and send out an invoice. There's another task there in stage 5 that also will be addressed at that time. Then stage 6, once the invoice gets sent out, it's then going to expect you to complete the payment. And of course, that's an automated task too, because once you complete the payment, the system will automatically complete that task. And then finally, in stage 7, the system will automatically issue the permit. That's why I was saying earlier, it takes about 5 minutes because the system is automatically going to, it's kind of looking for that payment being processed. And once that payment is processed and it acknowledges that, it completes that task automatically, and then it's going to say, okay, now I got to go ahead and execute sending out the permit. All of that usually will take about 5 minutes, and then the permit is going to get sent out, okay? Then in stage 8, the notice of commencement is required. When you upload your notice of commencement through the portal, staff will process that. Now, once again, please keep in mind that when you upload the document, it's not like the system is taking your word for it and saying, oh, they uploaded something, because the system can't really interpret that document, right? That PDF you uploaded is the correct document, or it's, got the right information on it, So it still requires a staff member to put eyes on it at some point, and it could take staff, just keep in mind, don't expect it to be instant, right? It could take them a day or so, right? It may be sooner, don't get me wrong, but it might take a day, and then you'll see that get completed. And then the next stage is when kind of inspections are definitely beginning at this point. Plumbing, underground, rough, you're going to be required to have scheduled and performed. You turn in a density report. You turn in your form board. Again, you just upload those documents, give staff time, right? Give them time to complete that. And I wanted you to see the stages because, see, this is what the new permits, right? The permits that have started to be issued that are native to this system, it's going to be far more enhanced than those migrated permits because you're going to clearly have a pathway that shows you all of the inspections through all of the stages that are necessary. Of course, in the middle of these, you're doing some of those in that anytime priority as well, right? It's just we don't put those in the anytime and try to figure out the best placement in these stages because, a wall dry-in, it could happen, during the framing a little and sometimes after framing and things like that. I'm not a builder, but you get what I'm saying. Some of those inspections don't really fit very well in those phases, so they have to go in that anytime priority there, okay? But ultimately, you're going to arrive at stage 18 in this case, on this particular permit, where you're having like storm shutters, you're building final, utilities is doing some inspections, code enforcement is going out there doing their inspection. And once you complete and approve all of those, the system is then going to ensure that all building inspection fees are paid. That's just an automated task. All it's doing is really just checking to make sure you haven't had any reinspection fees and things like that you need to pay. If you do, you'll pay those online. And of course, at this point, the as-built survey has to be provided. So you'll upload that. Maybe you've uploaded it before at this point, but if not, certainly you want to upload that. And we're going to show you how to upload those particular documents that are intended to go to engineering, right? We're going to show you the difference now and how we enhance that so you're not waiting for that to pass through the building department. It's going to go straight to engineering. That'll be our next subject we're going to touch on. But ultimately, once engineering has acknowledged that it is correct, they'll complete that task. And then now you're in this stage 20, which is basically a lot of items that you may need to provide. Certificate of compliance, building thermal envelope certification, insulation cert, termite cert, et cetera, right? There's also a right-of-way drainage engineering final inspection that may be performed at that point. It may be performed prior to that. Again, that'll be adjusted on an as-needed basis. And then finally, once all those documents are turned in and they've all turned to completed, basically in this stage here, you have a couple of final steps that are going to be handled. These are CO codes that other departments may be, putting in place that they need to check some final items. They're kind of probably more internal, not things you're providing. And then once they clear all of those tasks, the system will then go ahead and issue the certificate of occupancy automatically, okay? So just wanted to go through a full stage, particularly a big permit like a new house or something like that. A lot of these other permits aren't nearly as long as this, don't get me wrong. But just going through this, I think it really shows the power of how you can plan and be ready for all of these things. And if you look at this requirements list at the time of the permit being issued, you may be able to even catch things early on and tell the building department, hey, this is showing that I need an elevation certificate. Like if you see something about FEMA final elevation certificate and these priorities somewhere that you need to turn that in like way later in the game, hey, you can call them way before you get there so it's not an issue when you do get to that point. And you can say, hey, we're in the next zone, right? So we don't really need that. And they'll check and confirm that, and then they'll make sure to take that out of there, okay? So just kind of when you get your permit issued, just glance at this list. That's what I would do. And just, okay, yep, all looks good, we're good. And then you can get started.
And we had some questions online about this. This is almost essentially your CO checklist for the home builders out there. In that all comments addressed stage, that's when your plans examiner is kind of doing that final stamping of the plans, but also going back through these requirement sets and manipulating them to be as accurate as possible. So they may add in some inspections. They may take out some of these CO requirements and add some stuff back in. So you really want to use that stage kind of 20 for houses as your CO checklist. Make sure you're familiar with what you're going to be required. And just because it's, say, in stage 20, if you're done and your mechanical guy came out, he did his blower door test and stuff, submit that in. Even if you're only in stage, 18, it's okay, turn it in, and we're gonna complete it. And you'll see that while it's in stage 20, it's a completed task that you've already turned in and done. So just treat that as your true CO checklist. If it's in there, it is most likely an item that you are required to have. And if you think it's inaccurate for some reason, please give us a call. Most of you are familiar with Kelly and Bree. Send them an email or one of your plans examiners an email.
Excellent. That is outstanding. Thank you, Erica. So yeah, this is just something that we wanted you to see. We wanted to walk through, and again, a good, healthy practice, in my opinion, is when your permit is issued, go ahead and look at the whole list at that time. Don't wait until you get to a certain stage when you're ready to do something, and now you say, oh, well, this is in here now. We don't need that for this project or something. Go ahead at the time of permit issuance, kind of do your own QC of the building department's structure here, and say, okay, I see that you guys may have missed that, but we're not going to have gas in this facility, and I see some gas inspections or something like that. It could be a number of things, but you get what I'm saying. Just go ahead and just do it at that time. You haven't even started building yet, and you can get some of that taken care of, okay?
And one other thing, in that review stage, if you see something that's info needed, you should have received an email with a comment letter, but you can also, use this portal to go back and say, hey, did I maybe miss an email? Do I need to go to that doc section and go to plan review? Because you should have a comment letter in here if it's info needed. We are asking for something, or at least a department is asking for something.
Most definitely. So expect the email for sure, because that is the standard practice, is that we still want it to be kind of instantly sending it to you. So, and the user is going to definitely do that. But as a backup, here where Erica is showing the plan review letters under the docs tab, that would be kind of a fallback. So it should be here as well in this particular area, okay? And again, You know, it's been a massive learning curve for all of the staff, right, with Indian River County, not just the building department, but we're talking the planning department, engineering, utilities. So again, you know, the experience has been somewhat overwhelming because we're dealing with many departments involved in the reviews of the permits. And while it's been overwhelming because it's a big learning curve, it also has been fruitful. And that's all that matters, is that we've made the progression and made the turn. So this is going to be far more consistent, you know, as the weeks go on, in that you're receiving that information. Okay, great. So now, let's go ahead now and show you what we mean by when you have received a comment letter from the engineering division, or if you need to provide a document that specifically has to be submitted to the engineering division, how you want to upload those responses, okay? Because while if you're submitting to the building department, some things may allow, be simple enough to just go ahead and add a document straight through the project under the Documents tab. For engineering, we are now, we've implemented, based on what we've observed, we've implemented a process now that makes this far more efficient. So when you properly are submitting those documents in this manner that we're about to show you, now it communicates directly to the engineering department and removes the building department as a middleman to have to then kind of route it to them, okay? So let's go ahead and touch on this because we really, really like this. We think it's really neat. The engineering department has really helped us to get where we are. So we definitely want to make sure that you guys are up to speed on this. So now, you've received a comment letter, plan review comments, right? The permit hasn't been issued yet, and engineering, or even the building department, sent you a comment letter, and you need to now respond to those comments. We now have a separate link on the customer portal here that says, respond to permit comments and submit revisions. Now, a revision is what you would submit post-permit issuance. So the permit has been issued, but now you needed to change some aspect of the project. You would also go to the same link, but right now we're going to talk about plan review comments. You got a comment letter, and particularly we want to talk about engineering, and how would you then respond to that letter. So you would go to this link and select respond to comments. Did we select that permit number? I can't remember that permit number. Let's get that permit number real quick because we'll need that. Forgot about that. Go to page 2 and get that one that's under review. One, 2, 8, 7. All right. So of course, your comment letter would have that on your comment letter already, you know, the project number. But just for the purposes of doing this, we needed to go ahead and make sure we have that. So now, you will now see a breakdown of options to respond to the building division, fire prevention, and planning department, which is that first link. But we have a separate link now to respond to the engineering department comments that you may have received. Additionally, we even have these other documents that when you're ready to submit those specific documents that are indicated here, which are as-built surveys, the elevation certificates, and the NOI documents, those 3 specific files or those 3 specific documents, you want to use these links because they go directly to the engineering department. But for now, let's go back up to respond to comments for engineering. So we're not submitting one of those other documents like the as-built surveys. We're saying that right now, I got a comment letter saying something about my plans that I submitted from the engineering department that needs to be addressed, and now I want to respond to them by providing an updated copy of the drawings or whatever was requested. So you'll go ahead and click on that particular link and then put in that project number that you're responding to. and then search, so that will then bring up that particular permit at the bottom there. And there we have it. And then you say, yep, that's the permit. I need to respond to that for engineering. We'll go ahead and click select. And then now it's very simple. All you're doing now is just giving them a name and email address mainly. We don't really need to fill it out, but that's the concept here. Just who they just are asking, who are you in particular submitting this to us. And then from there, you'll go ahead and click next. And then it's just one simple question. They just want you to tell them, hey, on your comment letter, what staff member did you get those comments from? And then you'll make that selection, click next. And then finally, you'll upload whatever your response to their comments are. Could be a PDF document, could be a Word document, things like that. Because it may have been something with the initial survey or something like that that needed to be adjusted. But that's it. That's really the process for that. And when you submit it, it goes straight to the engineering department, which is the big accomplishment here. Yes, sir.
I just tried that, and it kicked me to something called submitter.
Yes, submitter, yeah. So that's the contact information that it basically is asking, hey, tell us who you are that is submitting these details. Yes, sir. And you would just put in your first name, last name, and then maybe just an email address is all that would be needed. And then you would click next. Very good. Great job. Awesome. So that was the first aspect that we wanted to cover as it relates to properly now responding for these responses to comments to the engineering department. So you would definitely use that option and go from there. Now let's go back. Well, let's talk about building division. Now, if you're responding to comments for the building division, fire prevention, and the planning department, then you have one convenient link here, because this is actually going to route through the building department, which they expect it to, right? And they intend for that to go through their department, okay? Now, we also have a link that is to submit plan revisions on an issued permit. So if you have a revision you're submitting, then this is the only link that you need to use to submit that revision. Now, again, we're expecting that to be a permit that has been issued at this point, and now you're saying, I'm making a modification or a change, and I want to revise what has been previously approved, okay? And that would be that link. Yes, ma'am.
For all the contractors out there, these tools are really going to be your best and most time-efficient ways to submit revisions and responses to comments. Some of you currently are using the document upload, and you are doing it there. And while that works, this is going to be quicker. Our staff is trained that certain application types are their first priorities of the day. So plan revisions and responses to comments are always going to be what they're going to tackle first. 7:30 in the morning, they're walking in the door. These are the things that they're checking, trying to get into other staff departments' hands for review. When you submit through that document queue, there are a lot of documents that come in. Our CO documents are coming in there, our form boards are coming in there. On any given day, we have about 115 documents a day. Some days, like Monday, are heavy days. We might have 200 documents. So if you can get into the habit of, if you are really doing revisions and responses to comments, use this system here instead of uploading documents on your portal. It houses them all together. It's probably a lot easier for you to do this way, and it's just going to go into review quicker. So please try and use that.
Most certainly.
Will it still be attached to the permit?
Yep, and it's actually easier. It's way easier for us to do it that way. When you do it through the document queue, I have to manually go in, I gotta look at all those documents, upload them, where this gives me one quick link. I can look at them at one, upload it, and then actually create a nice revision file for the plan reviewer. So please use this one.
Yes, please, please, absolutely. We certainly appreciate you adhering to that because, again, it is new and it's something that we've introduced into the software more recently, so we understand that many people may not know about it, which is why we're touching on it today, because it is very important, because it's going to make everyone so much more efficient. Yes, sir.
Here for permits that are in process, that are in review.
Yeah, so if they're in review and you're submitting any kind of response to comments, uploading new documents for it, you can actually select that building division respond to comments, even if it's something you forgot. And you said, oh, you know, I didn't add this, it's still in plan review, you guys need this document.
Okay.
Use that respond to building division, fire prevention, planning department comments.
That's excellent. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. So now that we've talked about the new option to submit responses to comments, let's talk about these engineering documents as well. Now let's go first back to the home page, because we want to show you how we actually made a little, convenient link here that calls attention, even though it's about to take you to that same section we were just at. We wanted to make sure that this was visible on the home page, and it indicates clearly that, hey, if you're submitting elevation certificates, as-built surveys, and NOI documents, go here, right? This is the link you want to use. So let's go ahead and click that link, and then you'll see how it routes you still to this same section here. But again, having that visible link on that home page, kind of makes it easier on everyone to know this is click here and it's going to take you where you need to go. And then from here, it's very straightforward. The only thing that, and I'm going to let Erica go ahead and just start clicking through there and putting in the project number on any of those. So we're doing the elevation certificate. But again, the same process. You would put in the project number, search, pull up that project. The biggest difference here that we want to make sure that we put emphasis on is that you understand that you should only upload that one document with that application, okay? So we've tried to make that emphasis in these comments and things like that, saying that, please only upload, in this case, the elevation certificate in the next section. So when we click next there, that's the only document that is intended to be uploaded. And the reason why that is structured that way is because in the engineering department, there are separate staff that review elevation certificates as opposed to those that are reviewing as-built surveys, right, and other things. And they are able to, again, being more efficient, they're able to sort these and just focus on just those items. But if you upload like, an as-built survey with the engineering, with the elevation certificate rather, now it kind of, convolutes their process, and they're probably going to then, return the application or something like that. So just do one at a time like that. Yeah, please, absolutely. Okay, great. So again, not anything challenging or difficult, just new options and enhancements that we've added to the portal. Again, that's going to make this entire process far more efficient than we originally envisioned. And it's not like it's like a guilty party or anything. We even in those initial thoughts, it was like, oh, this is a great idea. We can kind of handle these things this way. But we learned from that, and we made the adjustments, right? So one of the commissioners, super nice guy, is it Flesher? Yeah, he's awesome, man. I love talking with him. But anyway, he uses boxing analogies, and I did a little junior boxing even when I was younger, So I know what he's talking about, and it's so true. It's like you can study your opponent, and you go into the ring like, man, this guy's going down, And boy, you get in there and just it goes wrong, Your whole game plan that you thought and envisioned the way it was going to go, it just doesn't go that way. And now you go into your corner and you got to make an adjustment, and that's what we've done. Yes, sir.
I'm getting emails from the system for scheduled inspections, for submittals, like when I submit things, but I'm not getting emails for any inspection results.
Zero? Okay.
Something?
When you're applying online and you're filling out your email and your phone number, there's a little bell to the right of it. So on any applications that you're doing, you want to select that bell, whether it's email, phone, so that you guys get notifications. Now, if you have existing permits, if you let us know and send us an email or something, we can go in and we can manually click that for you on those existing permits. But on your new applications, anywhere where you see a bell, if you want notifications, you've got to select that bell.
Yeah, and I highly encourage that you only click the bell on your email address and not your cell number, because if you have a lot of permits going on, then your phone is just going to get all these phone calls. But Erica's right, and I failed to mention that that bell is very deceptive. You know, it doesn't really jump out at you, and nor do you really know what it's for, but that's what it's for. You want to select that bell next to the email address for that contact. And what that does is one thing and one thing only. It establishes that this is a person that should receive emails as inspections are completed. And that's literally all it's for, nothing else. It's only that purpose. Yes, ma'am.
As a subcontractor, this is one of the things I called the help desk about, and, so if a contractor has the permit, he's the main contractor, but I'm the sub of record, I'm not going to get any inspection.
You will. We're making an adjustment for that. So you'll get just your trade-related results, but you will be able to get them for the trade you're listed as. So let's just say you're listed as the carpentry sub, you know, or the HVAC sub. It doesn't matter. Whatever sub you're doing, right? Could be multiples you're listed for. When you're entered, well, this one is kind of more on staff, I guess. So when they provide that subcontractor affidavit and it gets uploaded, we're going to go ahead and instruct staff to make sure that they're selecting notify for that email address for that license holder. So
What your staff member told me was that the contractor would have to list every single subcontractor under the contacts when they're applying for the permit. That's never gonna happen.
no, it's not. And that's incorrect, actually. So let me clarify that. So just scratch that for sure, because that definitely is incorrect information. So the way this is going to work and has to work is the license holder that is on file with contractor licensing, that is the record holder that whenever that subcontractor affidavit is uploaded and then staff processes, they're entering that basically that contractor, the license holder, or what they call the qualifier, okay? That is the individual that is only possible to receive those emails, okay? But I know they may not be getting them though, because staff may not have been consistently selecting that notify checkbox, but we're gonna reinforce that with them to make sure that those emails pursuant to that sub, whenever it is performed and completed, that individual will get those notifications.
That would be helpful, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Kind of along that same line on projects for subcontractors, you know, on the old system, it automatically showed in our account once that contractor submitted our subcontractor affidavit. So I could log into my account and see that permit number under my account. I didn't have to physically do anything
Yes.
to have access to that. But on this new system, it appears that I physically have to go search for that permit in the search permit function, find that permit number, and then click on the three little dots, and then add that to my project list. So if I want to follow those inspections or I want to order inspections, I have to first add that to my project list. That's not an automatic function anymore, correct?
That is correct. So I'll go ahead and restate that question, or that statement rather. So the mention was that, you know, with the previous software, when the subcontractor was associated to that particular permit, then that project or permit would then automatically show up in that subcontractor's customer portal account automatically. They didn't have to do anything special to now be able to view that project and view the information and follow along. And it is true that in this software, that is a difference. So at this time, you are correct that you technically would have to search permits, find that permit by using the permit number, and then use the hamburger menu, which is what it's called in the software world, which is the 3 dots to the left, to then associate that project to your customer portal account as well, which is more of a manual process. And we're going to start engaging with our technology team and how we may be able to more automate that for you guys. But I can't promise that that would be anything immediate or very soon, okay?
Well, I'm not usually searching by the permit number because, to be honest with you, I have to submit my subcontractor affidavit to the contractor before there is a permit number. So I'm submitting that affidavit blind. I'm assuming they're turning it in blindly because I don't get notified.
So you don't put the project number on that affidavit, yeah.
He's asking me for that prior to applying for his permit.
Understood.
There isn't a number yet. So I have to go to the function and search by address. And I went through this with your gentleman on the phone, and some of those search areas aren't even active. So in our county particularly, probably other places as well, anything on US 1, anything on Highway 1A, anything in a condo, multi-building condo unit is difficult to search. Very difficult to search because those addresses were all entered differently. Highway spelled out, highway HWY, the condo number. So if you go to search permits and you go down to where you have to go to see permits, go up to the permits. Those, and he did it with me. I think we went to the general, but even on here, the parcel number.
Correct.
The parcel number is a unique identified better than an address.
Right, that is correct.
But it wasn't searching by it. So, and the unit number is a non-searchable field. So that field is there, but he said it's not active.
Got it.
That doesn't help me. If I have 600 units in a kind of building, I put unit number 601, it doesn't matter because it's not searching it. Even though it looks like it will. So just letting you know that, there's
I'm glad you did.
would love to use, but they're not active.
Understood.
So, if I put in, I'm looking at a condo, 1870 Bay Road, that has hundreds of units in
Right.
a condo building, I'm having a difficult time. So what I do is I give up and I try to contact the contractor. What is your permit number? So
Yeah.
that I can add this project to my system. It's laborious.
Got it.
So, if you could fix some of that.
All right. Well, I can't fix it personally, but I will certainly give that massive amount of attention and make sure that we make it happen for you. I can't say that I'm the person personally making the adjustments there, but I fully understand all of this information you communicated, and I will certainly get with my staff and bring these to their attention, because I was laughing because you said that the staff person you spoke with said that the unit number doesn't function or doesn't work or something like that. That's pretty hilarious. So yeah, I need to get with them on that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we will take care of that, absolutely, 100%. And like I mentioned earlier, MGO Connect is a new customer portal, okay? But it's far better. It's using newer technologies. It's much faster. It obviously has a more modern appearance, things of this nature, and many options like the ability to adjust quickly, like we did with all these engineering submittal things and added those menu options quickly and on the fly. Like, we can do a lot of things faster in this portal. So that's why we're going to give that a lot of attention. And we're going to now, the problem that we're going to wrestle with a bit is the inconsistency of the data entry. What I mean by that is not that the county is inconsistent, but there's going to be potentially inconsistency between imported data, projects that were imported from the old system versus permits that are native to the new software. We can't account for a lot of the imported data and the structure of how that information was entered at that time, especially when it's, going back many years and things like that, 2021, 2020, and things like that. But we're going to do a lot of research and do our very best to make sure that this works in the most consistent manner. Because the parcel number, the reason why that is inconsistent is because it's, I think in the older system, the parcel number sometimes was entered with dashes in between the numbers. And then, in the new system, I think it comes in as just one string without the dashes. But, those inconsistencies, we're going to look at how we can improve that. There was a question, and then I'll go to you. Yes. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Once the subcontractor adds that to their list of projects,
Yes, ma'am.
can they then request inspections and do whatever needs to be done, or does that still have to be done by the project?
No, the question is once the subcontractor has that project added to their account, because they're listed as maybe like the electrician or the plumber, so that's the only way they could, in fact, then be able to associate it. But the answer is yes, they can request an inspection if it's ready, to have it inspected. Absolutely, they certainly can do that. Yep, that's the kind of the intent of the security levels that are there and how this system handles that, who can be associated or have a permit associated to their CP account. It's through that mechanism, and then they could make that request, of course.
What was the best way, I might have missed this, to submit a subcontractor affidavit?
Okay, so let's show you real quick.
Is there a simple way, like you said, with the engineering revisions and things like that?
Absolutely, yes there is. So what you would do is you would go to your projects list, find your project, click open, go to docs, and then add new file right there under customer. Yes, absolutely.
Is this the same function for NTOs, notice to owners? If we have a notice to owner, do we do it that way as well?
Erica?
We don't have it at application time?
For notice to owner,
Notice to owner?
like the owner builder affidavit, or are you
No,
talking about?
notice to owner, we have to turn in a notice to owner, or, I'm sorry, notice of commencement.
This is for the notice of commencement. Yeah, so just click the docs, customer, add in the file.
So you'll get notified and.
So this goes into an overall document queue. So this would be used for a notice of commencement, if you've got form board surveys, all your subcontractor affidavits, any of your CO documents, that should be uploaded on this area. You'll just select add new file, try to name it correctly. We do have the naming conventions on our website. And then ladies, a couple of our VSS staff are assigned to that document queue, and they work it every day.
And how did you get there again?
If you go to your project, when you're on your project and you've selected it from your homepage, select the Documents tab, and then here's where, basically under Customer is where you guys add files. If you've got an existing permit and you're trying to look for your approved documents, those are housed under the Jurisdiction tab. That's where you can find those. You can download it, just select the download button. And under Plan Review is where you're going to find any of your comment letters or any invoices that we've sent to you. So your Customer tab, that's where you're going to add all your new documents. Yes.
Form board surveys put in there, not in the submit as-built surveys or anything.
Correct, because as-builts are different.
Okay.
Yeah, your form boards are definitely submit that way. It's going to Kelly and Bree for review. Your as-builts, your initial and final elevation certs, and any NOIs, please use that link on the homepage. And those are going to go right to Public Works. It's actually going to bypass us, and they're basically pulling those on a daily basis, reviewing them.
Very good. Excellent questions. Thank you for all of that feedback. So from what we were talking about as it relates to the subcontractors and also the address searches. So we're going to give that a ton of attention. For the purpose you mentioned, being able to search and find those permits, but also from the perspective of the realtors. The realtors are looking for permit history, and we are going to be enhancing that as well. So that's kind of like the next wave. It's like we had to do a lot of kind of triaging, if you will, and identifying, okay, what is the higher level of importance right now, and focus attention there. And now that things are settled down so much more, we're going to now be enhancing and refining these address search fields. So, I'm glad you mentioned that. But again, it's for also for the realtors as well, so that they can have more advanced options of searching by unit number and apartment number and things like that as well. Scott, did you have some comments, sir?
I think the one comment would be is our challenge was for 30 years, whatever it was, we had an address database, and it was handled by multiple staff members for multiple years. And you brought up, is it HWY, is it highway, is it so many different things. So we are now going, because we're trying to move forward with technology, to now implementing our GIS address system. So that's part of the challenge there that we need to work through.
Most certainly, but it is going to be the better tool, because the GIS analysts are following national standards for addressing data or address data, and how those address, street names, suffixes, all of these details are going to be far more consistent than it ever has been, because GIS is going to ensure that, without getting into a lot of the explanation of the technology, it truly enforces consistency of address, street names, post identifiers, and all of these other criteria, street directionals and things like that. It's following these ERISA national standards and things like that. I've been to a lot of these address conventions, and the GIS system is going to be the much better tool. So going forward, we're going to start to have well-normalized data in that regard.
So with the GIS system, it offers mapping, right, and proper locations of things. And then as years go by, more and more organizations want more and more information provided to them. So they're asking for, hey, how many single-family homes have been built in this area? So then it can be plotted, and it can be shown on a map or so forth, and just all that kind of information can be used when it's properly plotted and it has latitudes and longitudinals. So we're trying to go in that direction, but GIS and our old database need to also be worked with.
Yep, absolutely. So we're making tremendous strides, but we know it's the right direction to go in. And as we keep chipping away at things, again, week 10, still very much in the infancy stages. But again, the triaging was in, the first few weeks oh man, we kind of got bigger problems here. Let's address that. Let's get over that hump. And now we've made that turn. Now it's kind of not hectic anymore. Now we're kind of focusing on staff training, reinforcement, and they can actually consume the information. Whereas in the first several weeks, they couldn't consume it. It's impossible to do that because they got phones ringing, and they're trying to learn on the fly with all of these distractions. It's just hard to do that. And now we're at a better place. And these are the areas of focus now that we're going to be giving a lot of detailed attention to. And it's just going to just massively improve, just the effects of having more time to focus in those areas without the stressful environment. Let's go ahead now. Yes, Erica, sorry.
If you can just pass the microphone around when people are asking questions, because they can't hear online.
Oh, sorry. Will do. Absolutely. All right, very good. Now, we have about 30 minutes remaining, and I think this is a very good time to go ahead and let you guys ask questions. We'll certainly take questions also posted online.
That returned app,
What's that?
returned app.
Oh, one last item that we need to address. Yes, sir, please, if you don't mind, before you leave. One thing that we also wanted to go ahead and mention is if you have an application returned, okay, so you submitted an application and it was returned back to you, we want to show you where the comments are visible when you have a returned application. So of course, you're going to go to your projects list, which we're already there, and you would see an application like this one that says it's been returned for your review. And of course, you would have also received an email telling you that, hey, you've had an application returned, please go to the portal so you could see those comments. So what you would do is you would go ahead and click open, and to the far right, there's a comments link. So you'll select that comments link, and there is where you will see the comment that was provided. And usually it's not going to be, plan review comments or anything extensive. It's more or less just making sure that the application is submitted complete and they have what they need to move it on to turn it into a project and get it into plan review, right? So in this case, the request is to upload a completed aluminum permit application with the qualifier signature and notary block completed. So we're again, upping our customer service to try to make sure the comments here are more detailed and clear on exactly what we're expecting or needing. And this is what Scott opened up with before class. Certain applications still require the uploading of that, quote, paper application, right, that's filled out and notarized in that qualifier box. Go ahead and make sure you're doing that with those applications. But this is the final thing that we definitely had on the agenda to mention and show is how to view those comments if you have an application that has been returned. And you can go to the file upload link there. Go ahead and upload that completed document, right there. And then once you upload the document, you'll need to go back up to the top and then go to overview, and then you can then submit the application. It's kind of, they're hiding there. So again, once you upload and address that comment, whatever was requested, go back to the overview tab, and then go ahead and you would be able to click submit at that time, okay? But that was the final agenda item. I'm glad you stopped so that you could see that final component there. Thank you so much for that. So with that now, I believe we'll go ahead and just take a few additional questions. We may have some online as well.
I had a question about the contractor search function. I tried to use that the other day on Tuesday
Okay.
for one of my customers, and it was 105 pages long, and it is not organized in any particular way.
Got it.
So you have to scroll through 105 pages to try to look for the contractor that you're looking for. If it could be alphabetized or by trade or something that
Sure,
we
yeah.
could, because 105 pages is a lot to try to look through.
It definitely is. And we also are enhancing this section also to where you could search by the qualifier number or also by business name, kind of a few more specific, distinct searches you can search by to condense that down.
Because we can search on the state's DVPR, but that just says that they're licensed in the state. It doesn't necessarily say that they're in this jurisdiction
yeah.
registered. Or I'm assuming that contractor search is active in good standing contractors. Do I assume that correctly?
It is, yes.
Okay, so somebody that has no insurance or has been, deleted
Right.
for some reason or not renewed or what have you isn't in there.
Gotcha.
And for the building department, October 1st is fast approaching. Do we submit our renewal docs in the same way to contractor licensing via email, or is there a new function for that?
You can use the email, but then you can also use that contractor's link at the top And when you have your license up, if you hit View Details, it's going to open it up, and then you can add your contractor documents there where it says Add New Files. The gentleman in contractor licensing, they check that every morning. They
Okay.
check to see what new documents were uploaded. So either method will work. Maybe just depends on your preference if you want to continue emailing them or using this link.
So my updated certificate of insurance, my
Yep.
business tax, and my license go there.
Yes.
Okay, thanks a bunch.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. So that was another great question, and what we were illustrating is how you could pull up your contractor record. You could then upload, especially if you're a state certified contractor, if you need to renew by providing your updated general liability insurance, state license, and other criteria that I just can't recall at the moment. You can upload that through those links, and then the Indian River County Contractor Division here, they actually check that list daily. And if you've uploaded documents to update those dates in your contractor file, they'll see that and they'll update that information accordingly. Any other questions at this time? Okay, we have a few other questions. Great. We want to use the microphone for those online. It's a lot clearer for them. Yes.
Hi, I had a question about expired permit renewals, expired or getting extensions. Previously, we emailed them in and it would be assigned, I believe, to like a contractor license investigator, and they would make a determination and we'd pay the fees. Is that process different now? I haven't been able to see that we can do that through the portal.
So we've actually worked on that. You can actually upload it on a particular project if you've got that permit extension request. You can also still email the ladies at the building support specialist at ircgov.com.
Okay.
And basically, it still does go through that process. If it's something that needs an extension or it's an expired permit, typically it goes first to a plans examiner, and basically we're looking at the history on it, and we're looking at, has this thing been extended multiple times already? So what we've worked with MGO is kind of some requirement tasks in place. So once it goes through that review, if it's okay to renew, we are actually going to post that payment to the site, and then we develop some auto tasks so that once it's paid on the website, it will automatically renew for whatever period of time frame we've determined. I will say we have some cases where when contractor licensing gets involved, we may only be allowed to renew it for 30 days because of the history on the permit.
Right.
So a typical renewal is 180 days, but there are cases where you're going to see it's only going to be 30 days or 60 days. But you'll see that on the permit requirements, on that tasks, that expand requirements section of how many days it's actually been extended for.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
thank you.
Great question. Thank you. And we have another question here as well. Yes, he is. He was complaining about not going to the gym recently.
I just had a question on uploading documents on the naming, because you have specific names you want assigned. When we upload the PDF file, instance form board, does the PDF file have to be labeled FB? Because when you have a ton of projects, or can you put FB with a
No,
permit
you-
number under it, and then the file name is what the specific wording
So
goes to?
when it actually comes into us, even if you put the FB, when we actually accept it, it's going to put your permit number in front of FB.
Okay.
So for us, it's actually going to change it with your permit number automatically on actually any document that you submit to us. So as far as our records go, it's always going to have your permit number there, and then with whatever your following description is.
So if I upload a form board PDF, I can put the permit number and then FB behind that?
You could,
Okay.
and then it's just gonna change it on our end, and we may tweak it on our end, but for you, at least you'd be able to keep track of
Exactly.
your documents
And
on
then
your
under,
end.
where you type in file name, do I put FB, form board survey? What do you want to put in that, type in when
If
you
you just
upload it?
write in form board survey, because typically you're gonna have a form board survey and you're gonna have that form board form. So if you can kind of label both of those.
Okay, so that was my
and
next
the
question. Do you still
form,
need the form board form?
You don't It's helpful only because if there's a problem on it, we actually have contact information on that form. So it's not a required document at this point with MGO, but it does help us when there's an issue. Because right now, all we can do is go by whatever the applicant is on the actual permit. And if maybe you're someone else in the department and you're more familiar with it than whoever is actually listed on the permit, at least we could contact you directly.
And that would be uploaded as two separate
Two
documents?
separate documents,
Okay.
yes.
All right. What else did I have here? The other thing was the email notification. When I'm filling out, when I'm applying for the permit, and you have contractor, surveyor, engineer, do I click the bell on each one of those, or only the one that I want notified?
Only on the one you want notified.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
And, you know, final point about that is remember that the bell won't prevent them, even if you don't check or select them on the bell, doesn't mean that they still can't technically receive like comment letters from the software, because that's being manually sent out. The bell is for one purpose only, and that's for the automated email notifications when the inspections are completed. So only the persons that you want to receive those notifications would you select the bell. But I just wanted to mention that so you're not concerned that, oh, well, if I don't select the bell, does that mean they won't get notified if you need to send them a comment letter or something like that? No, you know, they'll still get comment letters, you know, if they need to receive that without the bell being selected. All right, any other questions? Okay. All right, guys.
I think I answered all the online ones. We do have some customers who are concerned about some permits, so I gave them the building support specialist email and the IRC Gov email. So any problems you have, if you use either of those two email addresses, they're on our website. But you can always email us. We check those every day and try and get back to you as quick as we can.
Excellent. So we want to just thank you guys so very much, certainly on behalf of My Government Online, the agency I work with, South Central Planning and Development Commission. Thank you for being here. I'll turn it back over to Scott. Thank you so much.